This is a snake den, and it's one I've had my eye on for years. In the past, we've seen adult copperheads, baby copperheads, and adult timber rattlesnakes all sharing this space. But this is the first year that we've seen baby timber rattlesnakes here. They're already starting to shed for the first time, which means that in a few more days, they'll be out on their own away from the den. So this is a very unique opportunity to show you what it looks like inside a pit viper den. That is a beautiful, very healthy looking copperhead back there. This site in years past has had dozens and dozens of these snakes. And for the last few years, the timber rattlesnakes seem to have kind of taken over to some extent. And we have not seen that many copperheads here. It's good to see them back and sharing this space. Let's move right up here and see if any of those baby timbers are still poking their heads out. We've got one here. I believe there's one in another opening just down here that's been popping in and out. We'll try and get a few shots of him as well. Let's see if we can get up close with this little baby rattlesnake here. That you are looking at there is a beautiful young timber rattlesnake. Now this snake probably was born within the last week or so, and pretty soon he'll actually be leaving this den and going off on his own. This time of year, late summer, is exactly when we should be seeing this. Not only for these timbers, but those copperheads as well. Late summer is baby snake season in Appalachia. Checking back in on that little copperhead over here, it's actually very common to see these snakes sharing a big den site like this. They'll come back year after year, reproduce and hibernate all together in a big pile under a big old rock like this. It's actually one of the things that makes these snakes vulnerable to things like disease. I've just noticed that way back behind that copperhead are a couple more baby timbers. So right here we have the copperhead. This looks to be a full-grown individual, probably breeding age. He's likely been in this den for several years in a row now, and that's pretty typical of pit vipers. They'll often return to the same place where they were born year after year after year. If we look back past him, way back in the back of this den, we see not one, not two, but 3 baby timber rattlesnakes. It's absolutely amazing to see. And actually, oh my God, that's 2 right there. That is 1 baby rattlesnake. That is another. That's a 3rd. Up there we have a 4th and a 5th. We have been keeping an eye on this den for years, knowing that an event like this was coming. We've seen baby copperheads, we've seen adult rattlesnakes, and we knew that it wouldn't be long before the baby rattlesnakes were here too. Finally got the call that it had happened, and we knew we had to get out here fast to try and see these guys before they take off. Now, if you saw my last video, then you saw me handling a large timber rattlesnake. That is the last thing we want to do in this situation, and there's a few reasons for that. Number one, these snakes were just born. Most of them have just had their first shed, and that means that pretty soon they're going to be leaving this site and going off on their own. The last thing I want is for any of them to be scared away from this site and feel like they can't return. Timber rattlesnakes may take up to 10 years to reach sexual maturity, and once they're there, they may only reproduce every 2 to 4 years. Protected den sites like this are incredibly rare, so it's critical that we are as respectful as possible of this very, very special site. Over the past decades, timber rattlesnakes have been disappearing quickly all over their native range. It's more common in Appalachia to see dead rattlesnakes than live ones, and whether they're flattened on the road or deliberately mutilated by hand, human interference is often the cause. Recent development has shrunken rattlesnake habitat greatly, and with more people than ever frequenting the woods, it's more important than ever that we educate people on the importance of the timber rattlesnake. These snakes aren't just beautiful, they're a key piece of the environment and of our history. Rattlesnakes are harmless if you just leave them alone, and they have just as much right to be here as any other animal. Please, educate your friends and spread the word. Rattlesnakes are awesome. I really hope you enjoyed looking inside this pit viper den. It's an experience I've been looking for years, and I'm really thrilled to finally check it off my list. Thank you so much to the people who made this possible. You know who you are. Really appreciate you sharing this place with me. For the rest of you, thanks for watching. Let me know what you want to see next time, and I'll see you then.